Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345 949 2454 or 345 938 3426. That's 345 949 2454 or 345 938 3426.
Take a look into the mirror. See the world you've never seen. Say a prayer for the children. Find the road to lasting peace. Let the sun shine through. The shadow cannot last. Raise your voices up to echo through the skies. Make a wish, a ray of hope, and lend a helping hand. Share the joy, the brighter day. The change begins with you. The change begins with you and you. When a stranger is in need, we must never be unkind. Let us practice what we preach. It's a conscious state of mind. Let the sun shine through. The shadow cannot last. Raise your voices up to echo through the skies. Make a wish, a ray of hope, and lend a helping hand. Share the joy, a brighter day. The change begins with you. The change begins with Let the sun shine through. The shadow cannot last. Raise your voices up to echo through the skies. Make a wish, a ray of hope, and lend a helping hand. Share the joy, the brighter day. The change begins with you. The change begins with you and you. Make a wish, a ray of hope, and lend a helping hand. Share the joy, a brighter day. The change begins with you. The change begins with you.
Indeed, the change begins with us. It does. What say you, Mike G?
It is a pleasant good morning, of course, and I am very cognizant of what's going on this morning. It's a new morning, and so much has happened overnight. It is strange. Some strange things are occurring this morning.
Some strange things are occurring.
Occurring this morning, yes.
Okay.
We are in November, and we are now facing a tropical. We can't say tropical depression anymore. It is now it is now forming as an hurricane, coming towards the Cayman Islands, and it is a very interesting twisted event because nobody expects at this time of the year that a hurricane would be actually coming. In fact, the year was so busy and were like letting down. I saw people taking off plywood off window, and
Yeah, I had a conversation on
yes,
Sunday with a friend of mine, and he was getting ready to, of course,
take down,
take down his stuff.
and of
Take
course put up their during Christmas.
It's Christmas time. But, I'm trying to remember what time of year Wilma had come. What time of year was, oh, Wilma was from October 15 to October 27.
Yes,
But I remember us having a November hurricane before. I'm trying to remember the name. If you're listening this morning and you remember, you recall, please send a message 345-321-6969. It is Terrific Tuesday, despite what is going to happen. We have a little bit of sun peeping on the outside here in Grand Cayman Islands, a little bit of sunlight, and of course, the roads are extremely quiet as persons await Hurricane Raphael. But before we get into the conversation about Raphael, it's time for the devotional by the Lady Susan herself. Okay, so it's time for devotional. It's devotional time. I believe you're not hearing it, so let's get it started from
Boundaries,
the
written by
beginning.
Julie
So
Ackerman Link.
let's go again.
Not a year goes by without natural disaster causing chaos.
Let's refresh it and bring it right to the beginning.
Lady this morning we are
This
looking.
is day 5.
All right, so we are up and ready. We are up and ready. Let's hear Susan's devotional.
Good morning. This is day 5. God has placed the sand as a bound of the sea. Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 22. Boundaries, written by Julie Ackerman Link. Not a year goes by without natural disaster causing chaos somewhere in the world. Floods, hurricanes, and tsunamis destroy lives, homes, and livelihoods. No one would argue that the seas have a right to violate their established boundaries and crash across the coastline. In fact, people agree that disaster occurs whenever the sea breaches the shoreline. God Himself has placed the sand as a bound of the sea. God also established boundaries for human behavior. Yet, not a day goes by without countless violations of His commands, resulting in disastrous physical and spiritual consequences. Amazingly, we often argue that we have the right to violate these boundaries. In the days of the prophet Jeremiah, God's people had stepped out of bounds, using deceit to become rich and refusing to defend the needy. The result was disaster. God said, "Your sins have withheld good from you." Within creation, there is inherent order. Violation is isn't without consequences. God, in his kindness, simply and lovingly communicated to us the order of things so that we can avoid those consequences. We are wise to know and to stay within his prescribed boundaries. We should ask the Lord to keep us on the narrow way where no corruption, woe, nor evil can destroy, where your right hand defeats the worldly fray to lead us into his eternal joy. Our quote this morning reads, "Disregarding God's order leads to disorder." End quote.
Of course, yes, Brother Steve, good morning. Despite the storm that's coming, of course, we understand that there's some sun peeping out, they say it's always a calm before the storm. I mean, one would
It's like we're
argue
running in
or consider
circles,
the idea
going
that
around every day.
a pending storm didn't mean that some sun wouldn't come out. You know, that's the reality of life itself. Sometimes we see life storms all around, things are happening all around you, you know, but there is a calm even with a big storm, you know. But sometimes we consider preparation for these storms to be crucial and very important.
Know you're hearing me well. Did you listen to the devotional this morning? There
All
is
about the storm.
no way that we would have planned and said, okay, we knew Raphael was coming. But Susan's devotional spoke about boundaries, and it's talking about the sand and the sea knowing where to stop. Lately,
Right.
we have been wondering here in Cayman Islands, we have been wondering if the sea knows where the boundaries are, and the sand form that sort of boundary. When you drive to the beach or when you're heading to the beach and you step out, you're on the ground, the
Yes.
earth, and then when you go on the sand, you know that you're on the beach, right? We are not driving on sand. And of course, sometimes we try to alter nature, so we might create our own sort of land and our own sort of what over years the sea already knew this is where I used to be. Yeah, and of course we find that mother nature sometimes is reluctant to let go of what would I say rightfully belongs to the ocean, so
As you speak
keeps.
about as you speak about the um, we sometimes overstep our bounds
Yes.
and sometimes don't understand boundary. But God's nature knows where the boundaries are. Human beings don't. And so what we are looking at is every time you can see a society that is stretching its boundaries,
Yes.
expanding its borders. We have when you have land that is water based land that
Yes.
is a sort of ecosystem. Those
Right.
places where swamp areas where we might fill it up and of course start to build houses and lots of buildings on those properties or
Right.
those the Greater Portmore area is one of such areas
Yes.
that in Jamaica, one of those schemes. I remember when they were building that area, they basically a part of the sea where it comes in are some areas of land that was actually just areas of just pure water. They built on that and just and people were skeptical for a long time to say, "Why when the sea ready?" it's going to come back and take away. Like, not to get anybody scared or you know, a little
Yeah,
bit
no, don't let them.
out of their wits this morning. But
Yes,
I remember when that was happening, and we were at that was happening,
that was
and
happening.
that we are thinking about it.
Yes,
And as I listen to the conversations going, and I'm seeing Cayman Islands, we do the same thing in the Cayman Islands. We have built on so many lands that are mostly swamp lands or water flooded areas
yes,
where that's what we have done. And people have built so close to the sea, even the ocean itself, the sea itself. And we are seeing all of these kind of construction technology that has come into play.
yes,
And we know that when you read these things that say that the sea will take back its course, and you hear these things, um, you as a person who believe in it,
yes.
like have a second feeling about the whole thing. But
Right.
there are persons who don't believe in the Bible and believe in God. So they don't have a knowledge of it first and a concern second. So they don't concern themselves about these things. You know?
Wow.
So it is very interesting that when disaster strikes,
Yes.
you cannot prepare people who do not want to be prepared for something like that.
Ah, but as you speak about preparation, I just must mention the 7 a.m. update from the Cayman Islands government right here. It says the hurricane shelters are opening Tuesday, the 5th of November. Ahead of anticipated conditions from Tropical Storm Raphael, the following shelters will open for public safety. In the sister islands, open from 6 a.m. On the Cayman Brac, you have the Aston Rotty Center. Also in Cayman Brac, the West End Primary School. In Little Cayman, Public Works Department building. In Grand Cayman, from 10 a.m., West Bay, Sir John A. Cumber Primary School. In Georgetown, Cayman Islands Red Cross. Also in Georgetown, John Gray High School Gymnasium, which is pet friendly. North side, you have Breakers Community Hall. Also in Northside, Craddock Civic Center, and in East End, William Allen McLaughlin Civic Center. And of course, you're advised to bring food, water, and any medical essentials. Those needing assistance should have a caregiver with them. And of course, that is coming from the Cayman Islands government this morning. Also, just a quick update on the Tropical Storm Raphael public advisory issued by the National Hurricane Center out of Miami, Florida. The latest update states that Tropical Storm Raphael is located 17.4 degrees north, 78.4 degrees west, about 80 miles or 130 kilometers south southwest of Montego Bay, Jamaica, about 230 miles or 370 kilometers southeast of Grand Cayman. Maximum sustained winds are 60 miles per hour to or 95 kilometers per hour. Present movement is northwest or 325 degrees at 13 miles per hour or 20 kilometers per hour. The central pressure is 993 millibars. Of course, the summary of the watches and warnings in effect. A hurricane warning is in effect for the Cayman Islands, for Cuban provinces of Pinar del Rio, Artemisa, La Habana, Mayabeque, Matanzas, and the Isle of Youth. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Jamaica and Cuban provinces of Villa Clara, San Fuegos, Sancti Spiritus, and Ciega de Avila. A tropical storm watch is in effect for lower and middle Florida Keys from Key West to west of the Channel 5 bridge and also dry tortugas. Just a reminder, I know it's a mouthful, that a warning, a hurricane warning, means that hurricane conditions are expected somewhere within the warning area. That's what the Cayman Islands is under. We are under a warning. A warning is typically issued 36 hours before the anticipated first occurrence of tropical storm force winds. So, therefore, let us be prepared. Let's listen to the warnings. Follow the government challenge channel, which we are also following, and we'll be able to keep you updated as the day wears on.
As you said a while ago, there are shelters that are pet
Now
friendly,
open, yes. Are pet friendly, yes.
not just open, but
Yes,
pet friendly.
yes,
So I mean, here's a real situation. I watched a video quite recently with a a dog being tied to a fence in the United States when the last hurricane was coming.
yes.
Uh, you know, and the owners left him there.
What?
Water already started. Yeah, it was something that to see. It was for me. I felt bad. I felt so badly for that animal because he was chained to the fence outside, and the water is coming, and the owners left him right there. You know, so to hear that there's a center that is also pet friendly, for pets to go. Well, I don't know how many pets are going to be able to go bowling into all these centers, but it's a real challenge.
Yes,
When you consider the landscape of Cayman and the way water resonates with it. It is a low-lying area all around. There's no real eye points. I mean, if you really want to go to an ice point, you know where the ice point is. I mean, we already know, right? You have to consider Mount Trashmore as such a place. And I don't know. I believe that many persons have already driven their cars or vehicles in that direction already to probably get some of that elevated. They probably open up the gates to allow people to park on the top of that. I'm not sure. No, I'm definitely,
listen,
I've been,
listen,
I've been on
listen.
radio for a while. No, I'm telling you, I've been on radio for a while, but my mind has stretched this morning just a little bit
Your
more.
mind, your mind stretching too much. Your mind,
Yeah,
but
but I mean, come on, where would you find the highest ground in Cayman right now? Be honest with yourself. Just think about it.
we have buildings that are high. We have buildings that are
I
high.
never said that their buildings are high. I'm saying the highest ground to find.
Don't put me on this spot, Mikey G.
You don't have to be on the spot. I'm just saying, well, without even having that conversation, that we have lots of stuff, places. That's a big place. That's a high place to be.
Yes, yes,
Or
yes,
many persons who are trying to find places. I know where lots of persons parked the last time when the storm actually was pending. Most persons took their vehicles to where the Bobby Thompson
Oh
roundabout is,
yes, yes, yes,
that
yes,
area
yes,
where the Bobby Thompson runabout is,
yes,
and
yes,
their vehicles along those there. The roadways along the Linford Pearson Highway,
yes,
all that stretch of roadway all along that area.
yes.
For those who are living in Georgetown, the Georgetown area, but that's what I saw when we had the last hurricane. My vehicle is a little bigger, so I didn't. I mean, I don't know. If the rain fell, I would need to have my car to drive around, and I was thinking that because I had this big vehicle, I would be using that to get through those heavy water.
Yes.
So I didn't try to park it on those plots of land, but I see even larger vehicle than mine was actually parked there. So maybe they know something that I didn't know, and so they made some preparation to protect their cars after the storm. Of course, it's a very important thing now to make preparation. It's the last day for preparation. The storm has not come yet. The hardware stores are closed. The supermarket is closed, Lady Elise, and there's no way to get any supplies. I mean, I'm thinking that the local shops that you have in your local communities may be open still. So if there's any last minute shopping, but you know how that works. Economically, it's not a sound thing to do because then your local shop sells a little higher than the supermarket that you could buy like a bulk. in, so you know have to pay a little more, a little dearer for the products that you're going to be buying at this time. Of course, it's considered to have non-perishable items at this time for the pending hurricane that in case of any real um, disaster or any real damage that may occur, you would be able to actually have some at least food to survive or to weather the storm or the stormy season, you know, even after the storm. Because the storm coming is one thing, it is the aftermath of it that sometimes make a difference.
Of course, and it's time for our financial advice, even amidst what's happening, and perhaps he can update us on what is happening in Jamaica. And the last update, if you notice, I like to follow the storm trackers, Mikey G,
Right.
because what happens is that you would see that each time there's a warning, it's a different place. So the last time we shared the warning, the the distance from land that was mentioned for Raphael was Kingston, but now it's saying Montego Bay. So we know that Raphael is is closer to the western. Raphael is traveling. Is closer to the western end of the island because we spoke of Montego Bay, and next is Cayman Islands, of course, that will be shared. So I want to thank Richard for joining us this morning. Good morning, Richard. What's happening in your neck of the woods?
Hello, good morning. Making sure that I am visible.
Okay,
I want to
so
say good morning. I want to say good morning to you, Sir Richard, this morning. Of course, yeah, you know, we are waiting the advice. Last week we had a wealth of information in terms of renting versus buying, you know, and we had that conversation last week. Our listeners really enjoyed that discourse. And of course, this week we are here, you know, anticipating some new advice and of course information on how to be financially, you know, sound.
All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. So you, Lady Elise, asked a little question, which I
Yes.
don't quite have the answer for just yet, which is what's happening in my neck of the woods. At present, I'm in Kingston, Jamaica.
Mm.
Should have been in Montego Bay, but I made a decision not to travel today based on the forecast.
Wise choice. I believe it might be a wise choice. To
Right.
try.
So the situation on the roads that, as I understand, there is some flooding in low-lying areas. I just spoke to someone not too long ago, and he's in St. Thomas, so there was some flooding along where he is. I know that there are sections of Kingston that are prone to flooding, and we have been having fairly consistent rainfall since about little after minutes to 4 this morning. I woke up about that time and there was rain. So I don't know if rain was for how much longer before rain was falling. So I can understand that with low-lying areas, especially in the Kingston, St. Thomas areas, they will probably get some amount of flooding. To what I have not heard much more since this morning. So that's the best I can do at this point in time.
Well, I would believe that, you know, that information may be crucial to some persons who would have been trying to venture out this morning. Like yourself, that you said, you made a decision. You know, the truth is that you would have made such a decision. Some people may not have. And right now they are caught up in probably with what you just described as flooding and me be now in difficulty somewhere, you know, and you can, and I can remember myself driving sometime along those roadways and how sometimes difficult it can be to even ascertain some help if you may find yourself in a situation. And if you don't have any
That's
money,
correct.
you might not be able to move too much further either. And then, we can think about a number of other things. But as it is that we're not going to be, getting down that road. But would say to somebody who is traversing the roadways this morning to prefer stay home. At least stay indoors this morning, and of course stay safe. And wait out this storm as it passes.
All right, and I wish for those persons in the Cayman Islands also, because it's a storm now, tropical storm now, but based on what the predictions are, it will be at least a category 1,
Yes.
but they're looking for a category 2 by the time it hits Cayman.
Yes.
So
We are listening to that conversation, and I'm thinking, with the projection of the hurricane or that tropical system that is coming the direction, it is projected to cross over Cayman
that's
somehow.
right.
So at this time, nobody I expected to hear this information at this time. This not a news that nobody. In fact, I watched persons boarded up windows throughout those first early days. The boards stay on. Normally, people would have taken them off in the first once it passes, but the Cayman Islands has been boarded up since then, from the early days until just quite recently. People are taking them down. We're ready to put up Christmas trees and lightings and all this. So people are relaxed. It's November. And of course, it's actually the 5th day of November. 4th day would have been yesterday. And then you, after taking down your plywood and ready to putting up your Christmas tree and your lighting, you hear that there's a storm to blow all of it away. Now, that's not something that people are wanting to hear at this time. It's almost Christmas. And, it's devastating to understand that this is going to be a direct hit, at least forecasted to be in earlier news reports. So I mean, a lot of anxious people around the Cayman Islands right now. Anxiety rise is very high right now.
I can just imagine. Can just imagine. And going over the islands, you realize that you don't have much hills to blow it away.
No, yeah, we boast the lowest lying areas maybe across the Caribbean. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying we have only low lying areas, right?
That's right.
We have a joke about we have a big joke about this in Cayman. With the highest point in Cayman is Mount Trashmore. We have a mountain. It's called Mount Trashmore, and of course, it is a joke for many years, But this morning it came to my mind that if I was going to try to be at a high ground, you know, as much as we don't probably prefer the idea, it would be a preferred choice. It's the highest point in Cayman right now. So, well, well, in terms of the hotels, maybe, but Mount Trashmore, if you want to drive your vehicle to safer places,
That's where it is.
that's where it is.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into today's discussion.
Yes.
Last week we ended on me actually asserting that I prefer to buy my house and have it appreciate over time. So one of the reasons is that when you're winding down, heading into retirement, that house eventually can become an asset for you. So today's podcast or today's discussion is around about I'm at retirement now and I'm asset rich but cash poor. What can I do for the next during my retirement years when I am not able to work at full capacity, whether because no one wants to hire me or because of infirmity, right? So I have a few pointers here and I have done it in the form of pros and cons of each. So what does it mean to be asset rich? An asset is defined generally as something you own. In his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he also went, Robert Kiyosaki actually went one step further by saying an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability, on the other hand, is something that takes money from your pocket. In the case of real estate, you would have realized that over time, as we discussed last week, that each month you are either paying mortgage, maintenance for the property, and of course, the ever-present land taxes, right? I'm not sure how it is in Cayman, but almost everywhere else in the world, you pay taxes for your land. So you're now at retirement. You have completely paid off your home. No money is outstanding. The first suggestion is what I call the reverse, or not me call it, it is called the reverse mortgage. What that really is, it's a loan against your house. So literally, you have just paid off your house and you're now taking a loan. The difference is you're not the one that is actually taking out loan. The bank is now taking a loan out and paying you. And so what happens is that you go into an arrangement with the institution. They said, I will buy back that house for you, from you, at a fixed, usually a fixed repayment over a set amount of time.
Okay.
So just assuming that you're living in the house, and at the end of the, and it's now yours, you can
Right.
you can sell back the house to the bank in a reverse mortgage structure. Now, what are some of the pros of it? One, it provides a steady stream of income. In some cases, it can be inflation linked, but for most times, it is one steady income. So if you're going to do a reverse mortgage, I would suggest you do it in US dollars. That way, at least it maintains, or a strong currency, at least it maintains its value over time. So you may have a situation where you're living 30 years after retirement. You don't want to be at 95 and earning 300 US dollars, the equivalent of 300 US dollars, when you start out at $3,000.
Yes, that's not a good thing at all.
The second, it allows the retiree slash homeowner to stay in their home, because what really it is that you are getting these monies and it will continue until you pass away. And because it's not a loan that you took, there are no monthly loan repayments, right? You're the one that getting the money. The cons for this, however, is that the moment you go into it, as I said, it's a reverse mortgage, you start losing value in your house. So if you have a $400,000 property, $400,000 a home, your equity value in the house has just been reduced by that $5,000, and so on. Now, as interest accumulates, that reduces your home equity over time. And because of that, in the event of death prior to the contract being concluded, your beneficiaries may not have the asset that they were looking forward to. As a matter of fact, the other part of that same story is that, yes, your beneficiary has first choice on the home. Let us say you go halfway, same 400,000, you have been paid 200,000, and the person who did the reverse mortgage has now died. Pass it on to their beneficiary. What has happened is that the beneficiary has two choices. Usually, the first choice is what is taken. Continue with the reverse mortgage until it's paid out. The second is to collect a lump sum from the institution and they go away. There is actually a third choice. You can buy back the property from the institution, from the bank.
Wow.
So if you have if there's some what's the word? If there's sufficient equity and you don't have to, because I mean imagine that you're still getting a $400,000 house for 200,000. At 30 years old you might just be able, or 40 years old you might just be able to afford that type of payment. So that is an option too.
So what you're saying is that if somebody, if you accept, so the bank would pay you the money and then just take the property.
Yes, that is what will happen. The bank will pay the beneficiary the remainder based on the contract that was drawn up initially, and you pay back the money, and they pay you. Sorry, they pay you over the
Pay
remainder.
you. So
That's
so
correct.
so the person who decides their minds to say, I'm gonna pay the money
Pay back the bank. Yes,
then that person would then automatically own the property instead of the bank giving them the money
that
and
is correct.
just keeping the
So
property.
let me give you a scenario.
And that would be on the reducing balance.
That would be then on the reducing balance usually.
Which
So
could
let
be
me give you a scenario.
$10,000.
So the person retires
Yes.
at 65,
Okay.
but they started having children late. So their child is now 20, still in university, or 18, still in university, right?
Okay.
That they're first or only child. That child cannot support a mortgage at this time and probably cannot support the family. However, the homeowner says, hey, listen, I still want to carry through college. I'm not going to sell my house. I'm going to do this reverse mortgage. Person dies at caller number 85. That's 15 years later. Chances are that person at 15 years later may be in a better position than when he or she was 18, 20. That's correct. Right? And so, as I said, they would get first preference to either completing the mortgage, which usually does not happen. The second choice, of course, is to get a lump sum. And as I mentioned, the third choice is they may wish to buy back the property, because ultimately the bank is not interested in the property. The bank wants to sell it. So you can actually go in and renegotiate. The second is downsizing. And what does that mean? During the course of your life, you have bought a 4 or 5 bedroom home. You had your 3 children. Everybody was living inside their own rooms. Everybody happy. You are now 65. Your last child has just left home. And you are now here with that 5 bedroom home. And you want to know what to do. Everybody is well set, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. Some here, some there, some very far away. So what it does, the pros, it frees up your cash in the property. So a 5 bedroom home may actually be selling somewhere closer to $750,000, right? It reduces maintenance. I mean, if taking care of an apartment is roughly $1,000 a month, right. $500,000 a month, you can imagine that of a 5 bedroom home. And it also reduces your living expenses. So you may not have to call a helper in anymore, etc. Because you're no longer living in a 5 bedroom, you may just need a 2 bedroom apartment. Hey, you may just need a 1 bedroom, right? But you may say, hey, listen, something, one of my children may come across.
May come over to spend some time.
Yeah,
so I want to get a comfortable spot for them to sleep.
Right. So instead of the couch. So you may say, okay, fine. So I'll do a 2 bedroom apartment or a 2 bedroom townhouse. And it's easier to manage, especially if aging is a concern, right? At 55, 65, you're still strong, able, but then as you get older, you find that the wherewithal to do the chores not quite there anymore.
Right.
The cons usually are more emotionally and physically challenging. You have grown up in this house for the last 20 years. You really don't want to leave it at this point. And you may be even thinking, hey, listen, maybe one of those children will come back and take it over with their 3 children.
Emotional attachment.
The emotional attachment to that. And again, another emotional state. There may be some sentimental value. You know, you're losing a family home.
Right.
Not just on your part, but the children.
On the children's part as well.
There's no anchor anymore. So you lose that home. What happens is the sense of family may disappear with it. Those childhood dreams that you had, those times when you played with your bicycle or rode in the backyard, may go away.
Go away from you.
And of course, depending on the market that you're in, what you get for your property may not be what it is true value is. So again, I mentioned $750,000, but you have put on the market. You're retiring. Remember, you're 65, or you may even wait till you're 70 when this is happening. And what is happening? The market may be in a slump right now. It's a buyer's market, not a seller's market anymore. You're not necessarily forced to, but because of your decision to sell at this point, you'll have to probably accept what you're getting.
Yes.
Of course, it also works in your benefit in that the home that you're buying, the new home that you're buying, you may also be able to negotiate on that. And then the last con is that the fees associated with selling are the similar fees that are associated with buying. You are talking about realtors' costs, legal costs, transfer costs, and all of these can add up, depends on where you are in the world, anywhere between 5 and I've heard of up to about 15% of the selling price of the house. Note well, selling price, not the value. Another option, sell and rent back. This idea comes from the commercial space. And what it really does, it says sell your home today for the value and rent back. So you remember we talked about rent versus buy last week?
Yes, we talked about was it more prudent to purchase a home or to buy it, and the conditions under which it may be suitable.
Good. So now you have a situation where you have no cash or very limited cash. You didn't put much money in your retirement fund going to this place. All of it went on the children and fix up the house and spending the monies. So again, remember, the idea is cash poor. So you have this asset. Let us get back to a little more realistic figure, $400,000. So at $400,000, you now find yourself with $400,000 less some fees, so maybe about $360,000 in your hand. So you can now access that $360,000 in a lump sum. It provides cash to take care of any expense that you may have, and you can now reinvest that money. One of my preferred reinvestment for somebody who is not an investor is just to put it in an annuity. Allow the persons that knows about trading, etc., and how to invest your money for you. I mean, I don't want to say you must just give it to them, but I guarantee you, if you get that 350, 360 in your hand, just like what happened with the Lotto man a few weeks ago, you may just take it and put it in bad investment. So rather than doing that, put it aside, put it in your annuity, and allow that annuity to pay you for life. The cons, of course.
But you'd have to what you'd have to do is to explain at another session how that works.
Okay. Well, in 30 seconds, an annuity is an financial instrument that you put a lump sum of cash in, and it pays you back out monthly payment over a period of time.
So I was considering the idea of actually
That-
naming, something that like our listeners would want to probably find out what would be a secure um, system that would work for me, as,
right.
as regards to placing my money, and how secure would it be. So I'm thinking that maybe, with some more information, somebody could make a more qualified decision on the matter, you know,
Okay. I
because
will.
that's an avenue that most persons are looking at right now, having their money and wanting to put it somewhere and have that money actually work for you, actually present, actually give you the dividends from it without
Mhm.
using the cash or even losing the value of your cash. Because even within some places, we know that devaluation, while it takes place, it reduces the money value on the currency if it is placed in certain if it is placed in a certain currency. And
That is
so
correct.
you don't want to place your money in jeopardy by earning dividends and then losing value on it, which over time will actually reduce the actual strength of your payment even coming to you, sir. So I'm looking at that idea. I'm thinking that would
Okay.
be a good conversation to have with our listeners at one of the sessions that you will present. I mean, it just came out of what you said a while ago.
Sure, not a problem. We will follow up with that. I think I may have mentioned it before. It's not the first time I would have mentioned an annuity.
Yes.
So we will definitely have
I
to
think
look
we
at that.
talked about it, but then what just came to my mind a while ago. Maybe just bring it back again and then
Of
actually
course.
go in depth in that direction and see
Of
what would
course.
be best, especially with the high devaluation, risk of devaluation in some cases.
Sure. So we have now sold our property. What are the cons for that? So immediately you lose loss of ownership. It's no longer yours. Yes, you have an arrangement with the person that you sold it to. But then at the end of the day, it is not yours. And that arrangement, let us say you've said 5 years, renewable. The new landowner may choose not to renew
Mm.
because you may have put some other onerous things in there, like I can only increase it by 3% per annum, etc. Right? And he may say, hey, listen, the market is saying I can get 10% more.
Not accepting them.
So I want to change it. Your rent payments can start to rise over time, as I mentioned, at 3%. And of course, it's limited. You find that options like these tend to occur more in the urban areas, the city areas. If you're out in the more rural areas, you find that these type of options don't exist because the people who do these things are looking for opportunities to, in terms of putting their monies down to earn an income, right?
Right.
So it does exist. It exists in a private space, and some banks actually do it. But the way the bank does it, as I said, is more in a reverse mortgage. The way that the private investor does it, he will buy the house from you and rent it back to you. The next one is home equity line of credit. Now, what is this? It's a revolving line of credit that you use when needed against the equity in your home. Again, using that $400,000 example, you now have the ability to draw down, let us say, $250,000. So what you really do, let us say you get in some form of, this really works when you have some other form of income working, but you now have an expense, a medical expense, for example, of $10,000. Again, cash poor. You can then go to your credit union, your bank that has done the home equity line of credit for you, draw down that $10,000 and pay it back over time. Usually, the minimum payment is usually just 5% of the value of the amount that you have taken, sorry, not of the total that is available. So if you have 250,000 available and you have only drawn down $10,000, then your requirement is just to pay back is just the $10,000, right?
Okay.
Plus interest, of course.
Okay.
The beauty of this, in terms of pros, is its flexibility. You can draw on as much as you want whenever you want it. And in like manner, you can also pay back that money when you get lump sums. The interest rate, another pro, is usually much lower than all other types of loan because I mean you're backing it up with real estate. So you're going to be getting interest rates of maybe about 12%, right? I know it sounds a little high, but remember, you're securing it against real estate and the other aspects of it. But compare that to a credit card that is running you at 24% in some areas and as much as 40% in other, depending on the type of card that you have. You can imagine because the home equity line of credit works like a credit card. It's just that, as I said, secured against your home. The cons, your repayment requirements can, of course, place a strain on your current stream of income. And if you're not able to manage it, you may actually lose your home. Because I mean,
Yes.
imagine you take down $10,000 and you cannot pay it off. And then you need another $30,000 later on for something else, and then another 50,000. And as you go along, it keeps rising to the point where you have maxed out your home equity. You have to be paying that back every month. And so if not managed properly, you may actually end up losing that home because you may say it may be cheaper for me to just sell the house, pay off the loan, collect the remainder, and continue with living otherwise.
Wow. That's a choice that most persons who are not, I find that that'll be a difficult choice to make, considering that renting was never the option. Sometimes it changes a little bit. Having your home and knowing that and having that security changes the mindset about how you would actually live. If you're renting, you're always considering a temporary setup, and it's a movement all the time, and so no real equity is really placed there. You're not really settling down. You're not really trying to establish anything. You're just trying to ensure that you are here now and you want somewhere to be. And of course, this provides the place for you. To lose your home in this way is like, it sometimes probably be a bit like devastating for some people.
It would be, especially under those circumstances.
Yeah.
There's another way that I actually personally prefer, but again, it depends on who you are, right? And that is renting out the extra space that you have. So you have your home and you are getting some income. Remember, you just don't have any cash right now. You can rent space in your home to supplement your income. So you have a 2-bedroom, and you live near the university, you can rent that every year, short term, to a student.
Well, the Cayman Islands boast that concept, and it's an adopted concept within the Cayman Islands. Many homeowners actually do rent out spaces, invite housemates, persons to live in the home as a part of the family, and actually basically collect money based on that, and so subsidize their payments, and mortgage, are in our supplement income.
Supplement their income. That's right.
That comes in. So this is a well what you call grounded and rooted concept within the Cayman Islands. It's a big thing. It's not just far-fetched. For some persons, maybe outside of the Cayman Islands, but for Cayman, it's a popular thing. It's common amongst the locals to actually invite somebody who's a total stranger, as you might want to put it, and allow them to be a part of the family in this sense, or they may or they may do a separation of the house to
Yes.
allow persons to live in I want to use the word, not use the word in isolation, but separated from the actual access to the family home, but while living at the location, at the dwelling.
That's correct. And of course, the whole concept of Airbnb arose out of that. So if you have a little more entrepreneurial streak about you, and I mean, if you think about it, you are now retired, so it doesn't take as much effort. It gives you something to do in terms of monitoring your Airbnb,
Right.
right? And though a fairly new concept for some persons at that age group, it is the whole use of computer and so on. It may give you a something else to look forward to, right? And it may also give you company each time that you bring in a new house guest while you're there.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
So there are some pros to go with that. The cons, of course, is that you do not know who the tenant is,
Ah,
and so to mitigate against that, I usually prefer to say do short-term rentals.
mm,
And you know, I lean towards student housing and even Airbnb.
right.
You may not collect the monies because this is not what you're used to, and you may end up saying, "Hey, listen, you know, I understand where you are, etc., etc., etc.," and then you don't get it back in the morning. Or the person may, as I said, these are the cons. The person may just stop paying, or the last con is that they may not care for your property in the same way that you would have.
You care for it.
Right.
That's a true statement. Most times it's in the reverse. The latter is true.
Okay. And then the I think I'm at my last one now. So let us assume that your house may be your biggest asset, but you're one of those persons who collected things along the way.
Ah,
So start
are
selling
you
off
are you
some of the
concerned boarding?
a bit of that. So start selling off some of these things. You may not need the power saw anymore.
I know some people. I know some persons like that. Let's put up
Right.
there.
Right? So those things you may have around, you know, you have your yard sale, and jewelry is one of those possessions that you may have that may not need
Yes.
anymore.
I have
We're not talking
something
about
that
the wedding ring now. We're talking
I
about
have I have something that I have for many years, right? That are very important to me, and
mhm.
I've never used for all those years. I'm
But it's still
thinking
very
selling them.
important to you.
Yeah, at this point.
Now,
Yeah.
of course, some of the cons to that is that if you do it in a fire sale, you know, or a yard sale, you may end up losing the value if you try to sell it too quickly. So if you're under pressure to sell to get some cash, and a power saw that you bought at Walmart is still in its box with the price still on it, you may immediately you lose some value because Walmart is now selling the same power saw for Christmas at a discount.
Not a good time to sell.
Not a good time to sell, but you need the cash right now. What do you do?
Ah,
Right?
well, you're in a tight spot.
You're in a tight spot.
Hmm.
The other, of course, items that you may have is that just by having it put down over time and use, you lose the value in them. What we call depreciation.
Yes.
You have a car from 1980s. Yes, you have kept it good and only have 5,000 miles on it, right? But the challenge with that car now is you probably can't get spare parts anyway, and it's not a truly correct collectible. It's a Toyota Corolla, right? It wasn't a E-Class Mercedes of the 1980s. So not truly a collectible item, and you find that you may not get the kind of value that you are expecting for having it for so long.
Mm.
However, probably best to sell it and move on with life. Now that very same car that you have kept all this time and just move from 1 mile per day at most, why it only have 10,000 miles on it now, you lose the sentimental value of that vehicle. And of course, the resale market can be so unpredictable. Good. And I wouldn't go down the path of pawning, but people do that because they want to get back their property. But if you go to a pawn, the chance of you losing that property also increases. Right? So those are my 5 or 6 thoughts right now on how you can use that asset that you have to get cash in order to continue living over the next part of your life, right? The retirement phase of your life.
Well, I want to thank you for all these great ideas, and of course, not just ideas, but financial advice to someone who is seeking to achieve these objectives this morning. Of course, your listeners would want to know how to reach you in case of more of these questions may want to be asked. Of course, how to expand their ideas of how to go forward with some of these.
Sure. My website is richardthelwell.com, and my email address is broker@richardthelwell.com. So you can contact me there.
All right, thank you so much. Of course, it has been another financial episode right here on Flashpoint. And of course, for those who would have listened this morning's conversation, I hope and trust that you have benefited significantly from this conversation. Of course, ladies, I am not sure. For some persons, for me, I thought about the concept of refinancing the home and the mortgage and all of that. I'm thinking to myself, after losing with the potential of losing the very property that you have worked all your life to have. It is one way to look at it, and but sometimes you have to take some prudent step for your own personal survival. I want to say it has been a very interesting conversation, one that is not so easy to have, but necessary.
Indeed, it is one of the very important conversations that we need to entertain because, to be wise financially, it is important because, money answer it all. I thought before I said that, money answer it all.
Money answered all.
Yes.
We talk about old age and stuff like that, and of course getting older. And many persons who are young right now don't have to consider these things.
Ah.
So they don't have to, so they don't. But then there comes a time when you will, and sometimes it's a little bit much late to consider some of that. And it is right upon you. The day you're born, if you're one day old, it means you're going to be counting older every single day.
Every
single
The
day.
illusion that runs in our mind sometimes that stops us
Yes.
from actually realizing these very obvious situations that will occur.
It's
First, I
news.
think about, I don't know if it's time for our news, but
It
I mean,
is time for our
and of
news.
course, right here on Flashpoint, it's interesting that we're talking about finances and it's a hurricane pending. Most persons are saying, why are we talking about finances today? And hurricane is coming. Well, after the hurricane is gone, we're going to need some of these advice to develop what's going to happen next. So we you can't knee jerk. You have all the information spreading all over the place. There's probably a place where you can say, you know what, there's some ideas that just after the hurricane we might want to invest wisely in something that may benefit me a little different.
Yes, for sure. All right, so let's get over to the news.
News
Yes.
time, of course, brought to you by Asai Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman.
Good morning, It is Tuesday, November 5. These are the stories making headlines on Flashpoint Radio. Cayman Compass reported Cayman headed for minority government. The Cayman Islands is set to operate under a minority government until the next general election, as the opposition party has agreed not to hinder government operations for the short term. Progressives leader Joey Hew confirmed on Monday that while his party will not join the coalition, it will allow Premier Juliana O'Connor Connolly's group of independents to govern, focusing only on essential legislation. Hew emphasized that this temporary arrangement is unsustainable, advocating for elections, quote, at the earliest possible date, end quote. The upcoming spring election is anticipated to give new voters a chance to register. Meanwhile, preparations are underway as the government continues without 5 key cabinet posts filled, just as a tropical storm is expected to impact the islands. Next, saga of developers' illegal seawalls nearing conclusion. A lengthy legal case surrounding illegal seawalls of the Allure complex in Georgetown may be reaching an end. Magistrate Philippa McFarlane announced plans to pass judgment by late November, including potential fines and compensation for environmental damage. Bear Development previously faced multiple charges for damage to plant life and seabed alterations, violating a cease and desist order. After nearly 25 court hearings, a final resolution is expected soon. UCCI's Food Security Initiative. The University College of the Cayman Islands, UCCI, has unveiled an ambiguous program aimed at strengthening local food security by training residents to establish 1,000 greenhouses across the islands. With over 90% of food imported, this initiative is designed to reduce Cayman's reliance on imported produce. By empowering small business owners to grow fresh vegetables and fruits year-round, UCCI hopes to make food security a national priority. Honoring Cayman's first female air traffic controller. A service was held this past Saturday for Zoe Emily Bodden, Cayman's pioneering female air traffic controller, who passed away at age 87. Bodden broke barriers in the aviation industry, starting as an airline ticket agent before becoming the first female air traffic controller in the 1960s. Her trailblazing career, including multiple promotions over 30 years of service, has left an enduring legacy in Cayman's aviation sector. We now move to the region. In Jamaica, schools remain open despite tropical storm warning. Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon confirmed that public schools would remain open on Monday despite a tropical storm warning. The Education Ministry advised schools to monitor conditions closely, with heavy rainfall and potential flooding expected later in the day. Moving over to Portugal, Portuguese woman arrested for drug trafficking in Dominican Republic. Authorities in the Dominican Republic detained a Portuguese woman at Ciboa International Airport after discovering a hidden compartment in her suitcase containing suspected cocaine. She was arrested and faces charges for drug trafficking as investigations continue. We turn now to international news. Spain devastated by unprecedented flash floods. Spain is grappling with the aftermath of devastating flash floods that have claimed at least 158 lives, primarily in the Valencia region. Emergency teams continue the search for missing persons amid destroyed homes and impassable roads. Spanish soldiers and local rescue units are working tirelessly to provide aid and restore order as the region faces its deadliest natural disaster in decades. These are the news for today, Tuesday, November 5th. Continue to stay with us as we provide updates throughout the day. And remember, please stay safe.
It's a noble institution, a gift from God to man, a reflection of his fellowship with all of his creation. An intimate encounter with loved ones and their faults, still a source for comfort, but most of all for love. It's the origin of innocence, the birthplace of trust, a sanctuary from the cruel and unjust. An inevitable union of different generations brought to meet each other through the miracle of life. We believe in the family. We believe in the family. Let's find our place at the altar. Consecrate our lives through the morning and evening sacrifice. We are bound. We're bound together as a family. The cords of love grow stronger through our unity. By the grace of the Father, the Spirit, and the Son, we believe. We believe in the family. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. We are offspring of Abraham by spiritual adoption. We were separated from the fold by our transgression. But the Father in heaven has given us his Son, and through his brotherhood we are redeemed. Oh, it's a privilege to be a part of God's family. And with all our hearts, we want the world to share with us this joy. Let the circle be unbroken. Let the prodigal come home. And together we will share eternity. We'll share eternity. We believe. We believe in the family. Yeah. We believe. Let's find our place.
So much more this morning. It is a beautiful breakfast hour this morning, and we are happy. We are happy to be right here in the place. And of course, all eyes are on Raphael. All eyes. Every eye.
Raphael is
Raphael is reaping havoc on many persons, but as the news would say that, there are persons who are in Jamaica, the Jamaica government has actually kept school open.
No, no. Well, actually, schools are online. The students are not at school this morning. Schools are online as of this morning. I just checked, and luckily, COVID has taught us many things, right? COVID has taught us many things, and of course, the fact that we can still remain active, right? You can still remain learning. I was speaking actually to a student of one of the popular high schools, and he was mentioning that they may be behind in the syllabus because quite a few things have happened, and so they cannot, the teachers, the students can't afford to miss a day. So even, electricity providing and there's no disruption, as we recognize that in Jamaica, especially in the eastern end of Jamaica, they are experiencing some rain, but the brunt of the the weather conditions have certainly passed them. So the western end of the island, they are now being impacted. And so we wait over here in Cayman Islands. We await Raphael. So let's be cautious. And of course, schools are closed right here in the Cayman Islands. As a matter of
Are they
fact,
online as well?
well, I am not sure if that's happening now. All we are all in the mode of preparedness and preparation. So the latest
You see where I'm going with the conversation.
the latest update say that the
Guys,
shelters in Grand Cayman will be open about 10 a.m. Shelters on the BRAC are already open from 6 a.m. this morning, and of course, warnings remain in effect. This is the latest update from the government. Hurricane warning for all Cayman Islands, marine warning active today through Wednesday morning. Avoid all marine activities. Small craft warning starts tomorrow. Location of the storm is 192 miles southeast of Little Cayman and 184 southeast of Cayman Brac. Movement northwest at 13 miles per hour. Winds maximum sustained at 60 miles per hour, and winds gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour. That's what we are expecting to increase in the afternoon, and rainfall to 7.5 inches over the time. So be safe, everyone, and listen to the warnings, heed the warnings. If you notice the flag, the flags are up. If you're traveling along Seafarers Road, just in front of the museum, you'll see a red flag with a black square in the center. That
right.
indicates that we are on the storm warning. There's also a similar flag at the government building. Usually, these flags are hoisted at when we do have a warning in effect.
You think one of those flags are anywhere in Jamaica somewhere?
Certainly, I need to find out from the
Guys,
person.
I'm certainly not thinking that at all because here it is. We are under our serious. In fact, is this hurricane or storm hitting Jamaica first, then Cayman?
Yes, but remember, it's
But it is closer to Jamaica first,
and it's developing. So
and it's developing.
Right. So it would have not been a storm yet, or while it passed in Jamaica, the development is occurring. So it's becoming stronger as it reaches us. So Jamaica would have
But it's developing storm force winds,
yes,
and
yes,
it could cause potential damage and injury to people.
yes.
So preparation is also necessary to take place.
Yes, yes.
So how do you prepare? for a storm, sitting with your students as a teacher, waiting for a storm to come, or potential storm, or tropical a catastrophe, right? To come, and you sit down now, teaching a class of students who should be buttoning up their windows. You should be trying to button up your windows,
Well, that's not happening, right? That's not happening.
right?
Yesterday, schools were dismissed half day, as far as I'm aware, in some parishes in Jamaica. Today, schools should be closed. Should have verified that, but I am aware of one specific school that's having classes online, and I know here in the Cayman Islands, schools are closed, emergency shelters, and we recognize that a few of the shelters.
Well. Here's the real thing about school closing.
Yes.
Schools being closed mean people are setting up emergency centers, and usually, most of the schools are usually used for housing large population of persons who would want to move from low-lying areas into a place of safety until after these systems would have passed.
Yes.
Now, how do you navigate that while people are still teaching online, who should be busy right now trying to figure out if they want to leave their property or home and see the comfort of their home, and then go to find a safer place to be until afterwards, unless all the people in Jamaica are at safe places and we're just not worried about anything, you know. But I don't see the connection between that kind of thinking. It troubles me when I hear that kind of disconnect, you know. And I can't just ignore it. It's impossible for me to ignore it, because I know what goes in to prepare for a disaster. I know what it means when something like to this magnitude may come. In fact, you don't know if that thing will hit you at a category 1 in a little while. It's developing. It might just be. I remember when Gilbert came. Gilbert was just a little thing in the ocean, in the sea, just there, all unconcerned. Nobody cared about it.
But
Next thing you know, people's roof were gone.
but it's measuring, and of course, I think the caution would have been measured in terms of what could happen. So schools, right? Schools, we got the notice in Cayman Islands from yesterday that schools would have been closed today. Schools would have been, and that is the beauty of being able to predict. And of course, we know that it's a guide, but it's a very good guide, because then we know that by Tuesday afternoon or so, we would have been experiencing the impact. We would have definitely been experiencing some sort of rain or wind. So we are advised. Schools are closed in the Cayman Islands, and of course, as I traveled along the roadway this morning, I only saw a few persons. A lot of the places are closed, supermarkets are closed, essential services like Flashpoint, essential services like hospitals are open, but as
Right.
far as possible, please keep safe, listen to the various information that is shared, and of course we are definitely keeping an eye, we are keeping our finger, we are keeping a thumb, and we are looking to see what's happening, and so that we can share with you.
Well, what you must say also is that the studio is closed to the public, you know.
The studios of Flashpoint, we are
It's closed to the
closed
public. I mean,
to
we are going to be bringing you highlights and, of course, valuable information all throughout the day, and of course to keep you updated.
right,
But
and we want you to tell us what's happening where you
yes,
are.
numbers to call this morning
Yeah.
and to tell us, and you can give the numbers to our listeners. This
345-321-6969. Let us know what's happening where you are. We are right here in Georgetown, and we are having a little sunlight, and we are enjoying the sun. As a matter of fact, I was able to do a little drive around town yesterday in the evening. Of course, persons were busy trying to get last minute preparation done. So the
you mean they're trying to? Some people are trying to find the plywood that they take down.
yes, but of course, when I went down to Beach, there were persons swimming, there were persons out relaxing, enjoying the sunset,
Last
and
minute relaxation.
last minute relaxation. Because guess what? Of course, you hear about marine warnings. So today you won't be able to go to the beach. So therefore, they would have been packing in, and of course, I had a little regret because I was not prepared. Because I would have definitely,
Take
I
a dip,
would
last
have
minute dip before.
definitely enjoyed a little bit of calm before the
Yes,
storm.
yes,
But
cool.
but just to mention that item of news coming out of Spain. Spain experienced flooding, over 100 lives lost, and they are still looking
Looking for
for
persons who are,
persons
yes,
missing. As a matter of
missing
fact,
people.
I had a conversation and I was informed that the rain that they had in this I don't remember how many hours, but the rain they had was equivalent to what they would have for the entire year.
Wow. I was serious. Me. I only remember there's a Bahamas situation where there's a flooding and some almost 20 feet of water, if not more,
Don't play,
covered homes.
don't play with water. Do not. We
You
had a
know,
discussion: water or fire.
we are seeing that disasters are more frequent these days,
Don't play
and
with water.
not just concentrated to just one area or certain places.
Yes.
Sometimes you probably hear about an earthquake or something. You say, "Oh, it's over in Haiti. It's over in some far country." But no, it's everybody. Every country is affected
Everybody
by
country. Yeah.
these disasters one after the other. It's not isolated anymore, and you can say,
No.
"I'm safe from this" or "I'm safe from that." If anything, we know that this is a true statement. Now
Yes.
we are in the middle of a hurricane season, and we are thinking that we're at the tail end of it, but find ourselves in the middle of it right now, because we at November we'll be taking down putting up Christmas trees as most people do, and of course Christmas lights and all of that going on, and everybody will be busy trying to get their Christmas decorations in place. Renovation or persons repainting houses and trying to beautify and trying to reconfigure the lawn or the fencing, or people are thinking of various projects to boost and uplift homes at this point in Christmas season. So November is a busy time. You're not looking for a hurricane to be coming at this point to know not only mess up the decoration but destroy the house that you're trying to decorate.
I'm telling you, but as we prepare to head out of studio, just want to share with you finally the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. And it's, of course, reminding us that a hurricane warning remains in effect for the Cayman Islands. And just reminding you that a hurricane warning means that hurricane conditions are expected somewhere within the warning area which we are located presently. A warning is typically issued 36 hours before the anticipated first occurrence of tropical storm force winds, conditions that make outside preparations difficult or dangerous. Preparations to protect life and property should be rushed to completion. And that's where we are at. We are in a warning, a hurricane warning in effect this morning for the Cayman Islands. Shelters are presently open. Just reminding you of the shelters that are presently open. And I will also say If you know that you're in a flood prone area, please let us not wait until it's difficult to get to the shelter. If you know that where you live, where you reside, is prone to flooding, have your go bag ready, have your essential items ready, your medication that you will need for the next few days. Also, pack that. Have your clothing and your items that you'll need to do for your hygiene, for your care. Have some food, have some snacks ready. Hurricane shelters opening Tuesday, November 5th, ahead of the anticipated conditions on the sister islands. Aston Rutty Center, West End Primary, the multipurpose hall or the sports complex, Public Works Department in Little Cayman. In Grand Cayman, the shelters will open at 10 a.m. today. In West Bay, Sir John A. Comber Primary School. In Georgetown, Cayman Islands Red Cross. Also in Georgetown, John Gray High School Gymnasium, and this is pet friendly. In Town, Theoline McCoy School Hall. In North Side, Craddock Civic Center. In East End, William Allen McLaughlin Civic Center. Please bring food, water, and any medical essentials. Those needing assistance should have a caregiver with them. That's coming from the Cayman Islands.
Well, for the pet friendly centers, would you highlight the pet friendly centers for most persons who are having their pets and would want to seek a center that would be pet friendly? Because if you're going to be looking out to say you're going to try to find yourself in a secure location,
Yes.
you'd want to find a secure place where you can also secure your pets as well. Because I told you earlier in the breakfast hour, I remember watching a clip on the internet about with a dog in the previous storm that passed through Florida. That this dog was actually there, hooked up at the fence, and nobody was there to relieve that dog or to secure that animal. And of course, the persons who owned the animal has gone already and left it to die if there was a flooding that came up. Now, there's another storm that is pending and brewing across the United States, as we mentioned this morning.
Yes.
Of course, it is the election. It's high time. The storm is coming in one part of the world, and a hurricane is brewing, so a tsunami is going on. It's a whole thing going on. The United States is blowing up. The Kamala Harris and the Donald Trump saga continues this morning right here. And of course, voters and persons electorate, people are out this morning and they're trying to get their vote in to see if they can secure their new president of the new United States. Is it going to be Kamala or is it going to be Donald Trump? And of course, you can see from the excitement on both candidates' face that they are excited about their opportunity, optimistic about their being chosen for the White House at this time. So yeah, it is that time again, Lady Elise, when the saga continues this morning.
Yes, and as we go this morning, as we get out of studio, so much to discuss, so much to remind the viewers about wherever you are. And of course, we would have mentioned in the news item that amidst the impending storm, we still have a skeleton government here operating and working with. But God is able. I believe that when we call on God, and of course, the Flashpoint team, we assembled on the weekend and we had prayer. We had prayer not only for our country, but Pastor Mark was able to lead us as we prayed for the wider world. There's so much turmoil around us. So even as we face what we do not know will happen in the next few hours in the Cayman Islands, I just want to implore everyone to stay safe. If you need to move to higher ground, if you need to move to a shelter, please do so in a timely manner. do not wait until it's unsafe to do that. Shelters open in the Cayman Islands at 10 a.m. this morning. But if you're tuned in from elsewhere in the world, I'm sure nonetheless you would like to know what's happening wherever else you are. So just going to briefly just highlight what is happening on the National Day calendar for today, the 5th of November. Now today is National Love Your Red Hair Day, National Donut Day, donut, National, what else is celebrated today? Yeah, that's what I have today.
National Do Not or Donut?
Donut.
I thought you said National Do Not Day.
It's
National Do Not Vote Day.
A lot is happening all over the world, and there's heavy rain. I am hearing on Facebook. Good morning, our Facebook listeners. Good morning, Lady Patsy. And of course, all schools are closed, and they are having heavy rain. I expect in Hanover. We got information from the ministry from yesterday as well that their schools would be closed. Thank you for that update from our listener there on a Facebook, our viewer right there. And good morning to you. Stay dry and stay safe, because I know that we are experiencing the tail end. But you know, after the storm, what must come? The calm.
Must come as a calm.
Yes.
Well, yeah, Ladies, as we expand the conversation just a little bit, with the government of the Cayman Islands now on a skeleton government, we are listening to that conversation being had now of new elections to be held right here in the Cayman Islands, and to decide on a new government and our way forward. Yes. So, we have so much to think about, storm coming in different directions, and of course impacting different places. So I mean, it is much to take on at this time, but in God we trust.
In God we trust. God is able to keep us, and of course, no matter what storms, we always get a real life lesson from our situation, Mikey G, from our circumstances. We always have some lesson that we learn. And of course, certainly we know the God of the storm. Our devotional this morning spoke about boundaries and the sea and the sand, and knowing how far to go. We know the peace speaker this morning. We are operating from that knowledge, and also from the wisdom that if we need to move, we move. And so God has given us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding this morning. So I implore you, let us all stay safe wherever we are. Thank you for tuning into the breakfast hour. Thank you for sharing and being a part. We will be online all day. Yes, just hit us up, www.flashpointmedia.ky, and of course we'll be providing updates. So call us, let us know what's happening, send us a message, let us know what's happening in your neck of the woods, so that we can share the information and we all can become wiser.
All right, guys, so thank you, of course. Catch you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. I know maybe tomorrow morning will be a little more stormy, but at least we'll be sticking and staying. Of course, we'll be bringing highlights, and of course, we'll have persons who will be informing us across the centers. Yes. We are going to be giving highlights from the centers, the different location, and who, where, and when you are able to go, and when you can't go. So there are things that we need to take care of today, that we need to just get going with it right now. Of course, continue to listen to Flashpoint all day. We'll bring you updates all day today on radio, and of course throughout the rest of the afternoon.
Certainly. Have yourself a wonderful day. Get ready for an evening of inspiration as the Savannah Seventh-day Adventist Church presents Sermon Through Music Revived. Join us at the Windsor Park Children's Playground on Friday, November 15.
We start with free health checks at 6:30 p.m. Enjoy the marching band at 7:15 and experience uplifting music and Vespers at 7:30 p.m. Reconnect, revive, and be inspired. Hope to see you there.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries. We'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll all sing better outside. Just us in the sky. Part of this circus? Is it innate? Feels like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter? Or is this a fate?